Morning, guys. First of all, excited about the challenge waiting for us down in Columbus. 4-1 football team going on to take down, going down to Columbus to face a 5-0 football team that's playing outstanding football right now. Dominant, one of the top 5 teams probably in the country. Certainly can make a case for them to be anywhere between 1 and 5, for sure. Offensively, when you look at them, I think it's 32 touchdowns to 4 is what the deal is. They've had 500 yards every game but one, and they got 469 in that one. He's thrown, I believe, 16 touchdown passes, Justin Fields, and maybe 0 interceptions. So they're playing extremely well, throwing the ball down the field. Got a great group of receivers: Austin Mack, KJ Hill, Victor Benjamin, all are back. They've got a couple new faces as well. Olave burst on this team last year. Offensive line-wise, they returned 1 starter. J.K. Dobbins out. Obviously, he's an outstanding running back, and I think he has 631 yards right now after 5 games. And the Master Tig is also in there with 3-something. So, outstanding offense. Defensively, equally as impressive. Number 1 in the nation in sacks. Chase Young is probably their feature guy on the defensive line, although they play about 8 guys. Linebackers are very solid. Secondary, 3 starters back. I believe they have 8 starters back on the defensive side of the ball as well. Playing extremely well. Special teams wise, very, very good. Very good football team. We'll have to be at our best to measure up as we go down to Columbus. I think Ryan Day is doing an outstanding job in his first year there as a permanent head coach. He's got to play at a very high level, and he's done a great job, getting everybody going in the same direction, and they continue to push forward. From my perspective, our deal is as a coach is make sure we're motivated, make sure we have a great plan, and then from a player's perspective, they got to be motivated as well, and then also we've got to execute. And we've got to just take it one step at a time as we go down there, but we're looking forward to the challenge, national TV game, as Ben said, and it should be a very exciting atmosphere. We've got a lot of players from Ohio on our football team, and they'll come ready to play as well. So, had success down there in the past. We'll look forward to trying to replicate that, but again, be a challenge as we go. But that's what this is about. And at the end of the day, if you want to be Big Ten champions or on the East Division champions, that goes through Columbus, Ohio. We know that, we expect that, and that's been the norm here pretty much for some time now. So they will accomplish some of it at times, other times not. So it remains to be seen who we are when we get down there. But I do like our offense. It was more productive than it was last year. There's no question. Our quarterback is playing at a high level. Got a running back, I think, is 3rd in the conference in rushing. So I think we found a running back that can sort of pull his weight a little bit. And we got the number 1 wide receiver in the conference as well. So we're playing better on the offensive side of the ball. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, took a little bit step back last week, but I think we've been playing at a very high level defensively. So that needs to remain, and special teams need to get it done. So I'll take some questions, go from there.
Mark, in the last 2 years against Ohio State, no touchdowns. 2 years ago, 1 field goal. Last year, 3. Obviously, you got to score points to win there. So in a game like situation like this, or maybe even their defense is a little better, do you take more risks?
Well, I think what you've got to do is you've got to be opportunistic on the offensive side of the ball. You can't take negative yardage plays. You can't get the ball knocked off you. You can't take sacks. You can't throw interceptions. So you have to play mistake-free, opportunistic, and then we've got to make some plays, whether special teams or defensively, and we've got to be able to run the ball somewhat. So there's all of that. I don't know if risk is the right way to say it, because you take a risk and put yourself in peril sometimes. But I think the better way to say it is we need to be opportunistic, and we need to have a great plan going down there. And at some point in time, you got to win your battles too. They're a good football team. That's part of it. You got to win your individual battles. You got to block and tackle and catch the football and deliver it on time. So all those type of things. But there's no question that we cannot take negative yardage plays and get in situations where it's 3rd and 13 and those type of situations. So we have to maintain our approach as we go.
Mark, kind of a little housekeeping thing with Connor announcing he's leaving. I guess First of all, how are you managing right now internally the decisions that guys are making, the conversations that are probably going to be ongoing throughout the year, and keep that from being a distraction? And do you expect any more?
Well, I don't ever expect any, but, you know, I think this is the sign of the times a little bit. So, you know, I'm always going to take the position that, hey, whatever you think is best for you. If you don't think it's best to be here, then probably it isn't, because, you know, you're not all in. And, you know, we've got competition at running back. I don't think there's any question about that there's been competition there. But I think that right at this point in time, you know, we have a #1 running back. So, but we wish Connor the best. He's a tremendous young man. He's a good football player. He brings value to our football program. But it just sort of is what it is, and you have to deal with it from that perspective. And I'm going to deal with it in a positive way. And that's the only way that I can approach things.
And as a follow-up with that, now with the running back, it seemed like you used Ladarius kind of in those third down situations that you had been using Connor. And I guess, what have you seen from him in terms of pass blocking? And is Anthony kind of the #2 guy right now, or is it still by committee?
I think that right now, when you look at, without talking about game plans and things of that nature, Ladarius is a motivated football player. He played a lot of football for us last year. He should play more football for us now. You know, he's a durable back. He's tough. He knows what's going on. He understands who we are offensively and those type of things. And he can be a go-to guy as well. But I'm always going to try and play the hot back. So you get hot, you're playing. Sometimes you need that opportunity a little bit, but you get hot, you're going to play. And we've got to be productive at that position. I don't think there's any question. You must be productive at that position. And that's sort of a collective thing, because you got to block too. You got to have the right, you know, things from a conceptual standpoint going on as well. But those guys can all be 1 to 3 as you shake it out. Right now, #1 is Elijah Collins. He's sort of proven that fact. But any one of those 3 guys can be coming, and you know, we've got a couple guys waiting in the wing beyond that too. So they're not afraid to play.
Mark, you mentioned a little bit about the success you guys have had down there, and then all the Ohio guys in this team. And we talk a lot about the Michigan rivalry, and for those guys on the roster here. But for so many guys in the Ohio connections on coaching staff, you as well, what is it about playing down there? And does that kind of contribute to the success you've had? That, I mean, I don't know, are you trying to prove something, or what it is about playing in Ohio?
I really think that any time you're in a conference, you're trying to become the best in your conference, and so you got to measure up, and you've got to be able to. And you know, Ohio State has been a dominant program in this conference. I don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag there, and that's been since that's been in the '90s, in early 2000s. And Coach Tressel was there as well. Certainly when Coach Meyer was there. So you've got to be able to measure up and win your share there, or win some there, to be, if you want to be a Big Ten champion. And 2 times that we've won, beat Ohio State, we've become the Big Ten champion. The 3rd time that we were able to win down there was in 2011, and I think we were 11-1 football team, so pretty good, and played in the champion. You know, we went, I believe we went to the, yeah, we did. We went to the championship game. So the 3 times that we've won, we've been able to get to the championship game. Our goal is to get to that championship game and then play it out. So it goes through Columbus. We knew that coming into this season, and so we've got to be able to play up to it. We've got to play up. We've got some injuries, obviously. You guys know that, but we've got to play up. We've got good players, and we've got guys that can compete.
Got my 2.
Okay.
You had a big win there on mixed staff too, weren't you there in '98 when you beat the #1 Buckeyes? What do you remember about that game?
I remember that we were 28-point underdogs, and Julian Peterson had 5 sacks, and you know, we played extremely well on defense and had a punt return, and played pretty well on the offensive side of the ball, decent, and kept us in the game. And you know, we just kept chopping wood basically. And big interception by Ronaldo Hill at the end of the deal, and you know, I think it was 4 downs from the 20 or the 15 or the 10 at the end of the game, 4 straight downs where they tested us from a pass perspective. So great win, big win, and part of the history.
Is this a similar opportunity? The program's on better ground now than it was then, but you're a 20-point underdog again this weekend. Is that kind of the same opportunity?
Well, I think it's a measuring stick. I'm sure with the win comes more opportunities, and you get ready to play the next one as well. So we've got two big ones. We've known this, we understand this. When you do your summer studies and things of that nature, you understand what you're up against when you come to this part of the season. So you get yourself ready to go. I think this is important. Our mindset's got to be as important as anything, because we need to understand the challenges in front of us, and we need to play perfect.
That one doesn't count. This is not a question about Connor Hayward or Boyer Randall, but the NCAA's procedure. I think there were over 800 players in transfer portal, if I'm not mistaken. Is it a bad message to send if players are unhappy or not playing that they have an easy out?
I don't think it's an easy out. And the fact that because you go in the portal, you still haven't found a place to play. So it becomes a little bit more difficult than one might imagine, because most colleges are looking for high school players to fill those voids. So my thought is, hey, we're bringing new players when things like this happen. It's not, hey, let's go try and find two more guys from the transfer portal. Now that may happen, that may not. Remains to be seen, but nothing's easy about college football. There's nothing easy about it. It's challenging, it's competitive. There's a big time management thing that you've got to deal with. You got all these different things. You got social media nowadays. You got all these different things you have to deal with. And my message to everybody is you got to do what you got to do, and we wish you the best. And I always want to try and be supportive, like I said before, and I want to listen and try and communicate our situation and be upfront and straight up with people. So that's what I try to do.
Mark, in the middle here, you mentioned obviously the defense didn't play up to the level they thought of last week against Indiana. Do you think the timing of that coming to face a top 10 offense maybe works in your favor as far as getting guys on the right page and focusing on some of the areas that need to clean up?
The defense gave up, 4 plays over 20 yards. What we needed to do better was adjust some things. As I said, I think maybe yesterday or the day before, we needed to adjust a little bit better in terms of from a coaching perspective. And then we also needed to tackle in space a little bit better. And basically, probably more importantly than that, was leverage the ball better. And some of that was technique, and some of that was IU as well, so give them credit. But the ball came out quick. The ball came out 24 times, I think, in 4 yards or less in the first 3 quarters. And we just got to make the play on the thing and keep it to a minimum game and get off the field. 3 times in the red zone, it was 3rd down, we can get off the field. We can get off the field and make them kick field goals. So those type of things have to happen the next one, but I don't think we've lost any confidence. I think we've been a tough team to run on. They've run for over 200 yards every game, as I said, and passed for over 200. So it's going to be a challenge as we back it up to Columbus, Ohio. But that's part of it. We understand that. And if you want to be the best, you want to say you're the best defense, or one of the best defenses in the country, then you better play well against a great offense as well. That's part of it.
Mark, California recently passed legislation allowing players to get paid, and I know you don't like to comment on things you say you can't control. Tom Izzo said he would like to see players get paid. What is your personal preference?
Again, nobody cares what Mark Dantonio thinks.
Well, I do, I asked.
Okay. Good for you. But the reality of the situation is who you're going to pay, and who gets paid and who doesn't get paid. And does that become a recruiting tool for some people? And then you've always got people that are getting paid on your team, and you got other people who aren't getting paid. So there becomes a separation. And I think sometimes when there becomes a separation, it may not be good. I do think that there needs to be maybe a halfway point, or maybe something that's equitable for everybody involved. And that's how I would say that. If it was equitable for all players, which it is to some degree from cost of attendance, maybe that needs to go up, there needs to be something else, but that's how I would, and that's me being a fan, not necessarily being a coach, just me saying, okay, you pay this guy a bunch of money here, and particular school says, we can pay you this amount of money, and this other school says we can't, or we can pay you this amount, then it becomes a little bit disproportionate. And I would think on your particular team, it becomes disproportionate as well, and that could lead to people going to the transfer portal, which we hate that.
Mark, over here. You coached against, over here, sorry.
Yeah.
You coached against Urban System, obviously offensively for a number of years there, and it was a challenge every time you played him. With Ryan Day, what has he done? Maybe I'm curious your perspective of how things are maybe a little bit different or evolved or changed from what it was to what it is now, still effective, obviously.
Well, I think that he's been there for 3 years, and I think that he's going to adapt to his quarterback, who's a new quarterback. Justin Fields is playing tremendous. He gives you a run after catch. Gives you the ability to run and create. Gives you the ability to throw the football. Great arm, strong arm. Again, 0 interceptions. But I think that he's going to adapt to some degree to his quarterback. But I think he's been there for 3 years, and for the most part, it was his offense. I think he was calling the plays.
This is more, I mean, obviously they were so tough on the ground up there, but do you feel like they're maybe more balanced right now than they've been? Or
I think that they're going to adapt to the quarterback that they have. Last year they threw it a little bit more with their quarterback. The years before they ran it a little bit more with their quarterback. Both were equally effective. The bottom line is, do you win football games? And they're 5-0 right now, doing a tremendous job in terms of offensive production. 36 TDs and 4 for the defense. Defense is good enough 4, so that's quite a deal. Whatever you would call that deal. Anything else?
Yeah, right here. Mark, Chase Young, you mentioned him off the top. I was curious, who would you compare him to, whether it's a player you had or a player you've seen in the Big Ten? And when you have a disruptive presence to that degree at that position, how does that sort of shape the whole approach offensively and what you have to do to sort of combat a guy like that?
Yeah, I would say really haven't thought of him in the human context. So, very good player. Big, strong defensive end, maybe a Robert Smith type guy from back in the day, guy who played 11 years in the league. Was a dominant defensive end for us. He's firm, he's very well coached. He's got a very quick first step out of the box. So, I don't really think of him in terms of, oh, he's just like so-and-so. I just look at him and he looks like a guy that's extremely productive and making big plays out there and can create a big. We have to be able to control him to some degree, because he can rent a football game.
Is there a rareness or a uniqueness, I guess, to him then, where he doesn't sort of draw a comparison? Or
Well, they've had guys down there like him in the past. Everybody's had a guy like that in the past at some point in time. So, but I can't put a comparison on it. I just think he's a very, very good football player.
Mark, a little bit of the script was flipped last week to Matt's point. The defense maybe didn't have the game it did, but the offense proved that maybe they can survive a shootout, and then did so on Saturday. Does that give them a little bit more moxie and confidence going in, knowing that if Ohio State throws up tons of points, they have to try to keep pace?
Yeah, I think, how we played it at the tail end of the first half against Northwestern and then the second half offensively. And then this past week, I thought we were in rhythm, confident. Our quarterbacks, again, Brian Workey's playing extremely well. So all these things go into context. I think anytime you do something well, you get a little bit of confidence, you get on a roll a little bit, so that's a positive.
Kind of looking at the back end of the portal situation, I guess examining the back end of the portal situation, kind of what you mentioned about it, finding a place and then getting there. Obviously, Field's situation is one where he was eligible immediately. I guess, what are your thoughts on how that part of it's playing out? And then also, do you have any updates on Jade Reed? I know last week you mentioned you hadn't heard back yet.
On Jade?
Yeah, Jade.
The first part is, I just think it needs to be consistent. From a standpoint of transfers, it just needs to be somewhat consistent. Everybody has different views on that, or maybe different reasons or different situations, which makes it a little bit difficult, but I just think it needs to be consistent. And then the second thing is on Jaden, no, he won't be eligible this year. We've got to set up. Just can't, there's too many different things that that have gone through that he won't qualify. You know, we can't make that exception for him, or the NCAA will not make that exception for him. So,
We have one more right here.
You mentioned Ohio State being, the dominant program in the league, dating back to the late 90s, and when you see sort of a score like they put up against Nebraska and against some of the other teams they played this year, do you wonder if, does it seem like they're raising the bar maybe even higher than it's been over the past decade?
well, that's why I started the press conference saying they're probably one of the top 5 teams in the country right now. You know, but the nice thing about football is every single week you've got to prove it on the field, and you've got an opportunity. And it's 0-0 when you start. So that's where we start. We start 0-0 down there in Columbus, and we need to get ourselves ready to go. And we've had to fight adversity before, so this is another opportunity to get ourselves ready and to play our very, very best. But it will take our very, very best, and we'll be motivated to do that. But again, they have a tremendous football team, and they're primed in terms of what they're doing. I mean, you can look at any aspect of their team, they're doing it well. Okay, thanks.